thank you for coming to this happy hour by Willow at Mox. And I'd like to introduce our guest speakers today. And why don't we start with you, Yuan?
Okay. Hi, my name's Yan. I'm back from Taiwan. I'm back to Taiwan from the U.S. COVID refugee. I came to visit my parents and was supposed to leave this Friday, and it's been pretty amazing being back. So I changed my flight till July. So we'll see. I might be back for a while. My background: I used to make video games for a living. So I made video games for over 20 years, and then I was actually the head of operations here for Blizzard Entertainment, operating their games like StarCraft, World of Warcraft, etc. And then in 2014, I moved back to the States, and in 2015, I began to start hearing about these substances called psychedelics. So DMT was the first one. I actually watched a Joe Rogan special, and he talked about DMT being basically a control, delete, reset on the mind, and I just felt like, oh, that's something that I want to check out. So that took me on a journey where I went to Peru several times and worked with shamans down there with ayahuasca and San Pedro and different natural plant medicines that have been around for thousands of years, and learned the history of it all, and got involved with psychedelic advocacy a bit in the States. So I joined the University of California, San Diego as a visiting scholar, where they're doing clinical trials with psilocybin, and also really have been working with MAPS, which is the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies. And I'm just really interested going back to Taiwan to see what's going on in the scene with cannabis. I don't know if people are aware, but in the U.S. there's a lot of decriminalization, and there's a movement towards using clinical trials to legalize some of these medicines and substances for healing work. So that's a short background on what I'm up to these days. And besides that, in my day job, I'm working with blockchain and cryptocurrency technology.
Maybe Zoe.
Oh, that's right. Hi, everyone. I'm Zoe. I'm sorry I'm late today because I was in the police station. A poor guy got arrested just because he has a CBD vape pen, which is 100% legal. But the police or the authority here cannot tell the difference between CBD and THC, so unfortunately he got arrested and detained since this morning, like 3 a.m. in the morning, and still there. So that's the reason why I'm late. I'm not looking for excuses, but sorry for that. A little bit for my background, I'm probably the only cannabis lawyer in Taiwan. I only do cannabis cases. Criminal law most of the time, because 98% of my cases are like people getting into trouble, like smoking weed, trying to bring some like gummies from abroad. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're facing 10 years in the jail. No joke. Okay. Some people like get some random package from US or other countries with a little bit special gifts, such as LSD. No mushroom yet. Not yet. And of course weed. And so my day job is dealing with those poor kids getting into trouble. And I also have a podcast called 大麻烦不烦 in the weed, but it's all in Mandarin. So
That just won an award. Can you tell us about your award?
I just won a award from KK Box, the first best podcast host.
Yay!
Yeah, I was surprised because we were talking about weed since 2019. I was surprised like I didn't get arrested or like I shut down my NCC, but NCC doesn't care, I guess. So luckily.
It means you have the followers and people are really interested in the topic here, so that's a good sign. And you're funny, so.
And the other job I do is I'm a General Secretary of Green Party Taiwan, and we're pushing legalization of medical cannabis here. So, yeah. Hopefully we'll win next time.
We're presenting this 立法委员柯建铭的儿子。
Oh, that's 那个不是特权的 to be honest. That's normal because I have 2 clients have similar situation. The prosecutor dropped the prosecution as well, so that's quite normal and it's not a big deal. It's like just bad luck. Yeah. Just bad luck. But Ko Jimin doesn't want to push over legalization because he said it's conflict of interest if you do so. So sadly. But hopefully they will like.
So my name is Amber, and I'm one of the founders of Willow, along with Chris and Sandy. And we like to put together these fun events. This is our first one that we've actually organized, so we're really happy that everyone is here. And we really wanted it to be participant driven. So if anyone has a question or wants to shout out or wants to kind of enter the conversation at any time, please do so. So I'm really just here to keep the peace. And this is Michael. Thanks. Thanks.
To have this.
Yeah, thank you. Aww.
Yeah, we're very
Fan.
grateful. Yeah. So yeah, like Amber said, my name is Michael. I am one of the leading software engineers at Caliva, and Caliva is one of the largest vertically integrated cannabis suppliers and sellers, distributors in California. Currently, we're the largest, but yeah, we just an introduction of kind of what I do and how I got into it. I mainly handle everything e-commerce for cannabis because cannabis is a federally illegal company, but state legal. We can't leverage stuff like Shopify, so we have to build our own custom e-commerce platforms. And so me and a team of software engineers were able to sort of do that, and we're one of the first to kind of own our entire space and be able to grow our weed, sell our weed, distribute our weed, and yeah. So I mean, introduce more about Caliva. Caliva started in 2018, and we are backed by Joe Montana, one of the comeback kid of NFL, and also Carol Bartz, previous CEO of Yahoo, and then our most major partner of our company is CEO of Rock Nation, Jay-Z. And so
confused with CZ. Just kidding.
Yeah. But yeah, so we recently went public just last month on the Canadian Stock Exchange. We plan on going to the public U.S. Stock Exchange as soon as Biden makes it possible. But yeah, that's kind of what Caliva does. And I guess if you guys have any more questions about me, you guys can ask about it later. This is Gar.
Thanks.
Well, thanks for organizing, Amber.
Thank you.
My name is Gar Lee. I am the Chief Experience Officer at GrowFlow, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and I'll tell you a little bit about GrowFlow. So I built my career building professional service teams, so account management, customer success, and been working at Silicon Valley startups for the past 10 years. Most recently, GrowFlow brought me on to scale their professional services side, focusing on delivering customer value and retention. So GrowFlow tries to solve Caliva's problem of compliance. So like Michael said, compliance is an extremely sophisticated issue because cannabis is federally legal. So every state creates their own compliance, and they don't have a easy way for license holders to stay compliant. So we've created software to automate a lot of the reporting, the invoicing, manifesting that cultivators, processors, and dispensaries use. So our category of software is called seed-to-sale software, and it's really ERP plus business intelligence software.
You have to say the line, like the delightful line, please. I've been waiting all day.
What the,
You have a tagline like "Making taxes where weed grows delightful."
oh yes.
Please.
So the easiest way to conceptualize seed to sale software is like the IRS gives. We're like the TurboTax for cannabis companies. So that like IRS will tell you how to do your taxes, but they won't actually help you with it. But TurboTax does. So we're like the TurboTax for cannabis companies.
Cool. And Sandy, Chris, you guys want to say something?
Just saying hi to everyone, because like this is the first Willow, and last we launched this event with everyone, so it's great to have you all here.
And thank you, William Belbin.
Yeah, William.
So okay, today's the topic or the name of the discussion today is exploring traditional plant medicine and their relationship with consciousness. So I think people are a little bit anxious with the camera thing going, but this is really just to not make anyone feel anxious, or I don't know. Just pretend it's not here. Yeah. We're all friends here, so yeah. If you want to throw something at us, right? But I thought you would be great to give us the intro because of your background, the work you're doing in the Asian community in the U.S. and like on a global level, what's happening, and let's get the topic going.
So I think cannabis has been, this evolution, right? I think when I first got back to the U.S., it was still medical only, so it was medical marijuana, and it was fairly easy to get a medical card. You just go make an appointment with a doctor, and they pretty much just give it to you. But over the past, 5-6 years, it's really evolved a lot, and there's a whole industry that's come up. There's a lot more awareness and conversation around not just cannabis, but also like psychedelics and different medicine for treatment of, depression, anxiety, all sorts of issues. So there's a climate now in the U.S. where, there's decriminalization. I think Oregon just had a major measure that just passed where they decriminalized all drugs even. And globally there's been Portugal did that years ago. So there's this movement to be able to use these tools for the good of humanity, really. It's about people being able to use these tools to do their own personal work and transform themselves and grow. So more recent, it's funny because it's also there's not a lot of Asians in the space. So when I was in even until recently, I didn't really know any, and then I met an investor in the psychedelic space. So she invested in Atai and some of these other companies, and she said, "Oh, you should meet my friend Serena." So Serena's she started a firm called the Plant Medicine Law Group. So I definitely want to introduce you guys. And she's Harvard Law, did big litigation cases in the financial industry, and had a really profound experience with ayahuasca. So that sort of brought her into the industry with a lot of passion around the transition towards a new medical system, because in the U.S. we've seen like the opioid crisis. There's been a lot of problems with like big pharma. So a big part of the conversation is also like how do we transition, because these medicines aren't necessarily compatible with like a big pharma. It's called a recurring revenue model, because a lot of these aren't. It's not a pill. It's not a magic pill that you take every month or every day. It's something that some people will do it only once in their whole life, and that's enough, right? So anyway, that brought me. So I met Serena, and then we actually hosted a Clubhouse room. So I don't know if you guys are in Clubhouse. We did a Clubhouse room called Asian Americans and Psychedelics, and it drew a whole bunch of people into the room. And we're like, oh, there's more Asians than we thought. We're just all really low key and underground. So I've connected with a group of different Asians with psychedelic experiences, some out here, some in the U.S., and we've kind of formed a little community to see what we can do to help support, like from an educational perspective and advocacy perspective, to remove some of the stigma, because there's also a lot of cultural stigma in the Asian communities around drugs and mental health, and it feels like there's a movement forming, and I'm really glad to. I ran into Amber. Actually, we met a couple years ago back in New York, and connected here and had this conversation. And thanks for putting this together, and just look forward.
Do you feel like there's a scene here in Taiwan, or maybe Zoe? What do you know about the? No.
Sorry.
Like more, no.
Like, I know Asian people are like really low key on psychedelics. So when people saw me using like mushrooms, acid, DMT in California, they were like shocked. They were like, Zoe, where you're taking this? I was like, why not? I'm not in Taiwan. It's legal here, right? Not really though. But like this is like we're minority. But I think one of them is because like we're relatively more conservative. I don't know. And also it's like super illegal here. And the anti-drug education, especially in Taiwan, since you're a kid, keep telling you, yes, weed and other stuff is as serious as like heroin. They cannot tell the difference between all kinds of drugs. And ironically, we're taking the worst thing every day. It's legal.
Killing our liver.
There's a lot of people who are from like foreigners here and expats in this space today. So I'm wondering, just like, what kind of advice or what do we need to be cautious of, or that because we know we're not used to it growing up in the U.S. So what are some like?
Don't bring anything here. Don't sell anything here. Do not. Not even Ritalin. Okay, let's say Ritalin here is covered by health insurance. So if you really want to get Ritalin, go to like mental clinic, tell them you're anxious because you cannot focus. They would just give you like Ritalins and 5 NT for 1 pill. So
Interesting.
it's super easy to get, ironically. But if you're trying to order some acid, mushrooms, and don't do mushroom picking on Yangmingshan, you easily get
What?
poison. Yeah, like you know, like psilocybin, that kind of mushrooms. You can find it on cow poop. And there are a lot of cows in Yangmingshan. One of my friend or mentor on lawyer society, whatever, he is like 65-year-old man trying to find some magical mushroom with his 70-year-old brother. So 2 old men went up to Yangmingshan, find some magical mushrooms, and got food poisoned at that night. So don't do that.
Did they have it tested?
They're basically just old hippies and somehow like let's do like mushroom picking. We're fine. We're I know this. I've been taking this before you get like even born. So I was like, okay, but don't do that. And so, but if you really want to use any psychedelics here, as I say, mushrooms, acid, weed, buy it from local people. Don't smoke outside of the bar.
Don't talk to strangers outside of the bar.
Don't
smoke.
smoke outside the
Smoke
bar
outside.
because cops will see like if you're passing it. They'll just grab your hand, like my poor friend, and they'll just drag you into police station. But by any chance, worst case scenario, you get caught. It's fine. As long as you didn't sell it, buy it for a friend, traffic it, like mail it from abroad, you're fine. You're fine. All you have to do is just go to hospital every month, do urine test. That's it.
What if you're on like a visa?
Hmm?
Can you lose your visa?
Not really. You don't even have like criminal record. You may get arrested. Yeah. So
Now you're making
that's basically.
Okay, I'm gonna stay camera in the middle.
Okay. Yeah, I also think like these are not casual experiences necessarily, so I don't recommend it for anyone. Like it's something that like for me it was something that called me. So I actually went all the way to Peru. It was like a long journey to have my experiences, and I think there's a lot of information on the internet these days about set and setting, like when the experience is largely affected by your environment and the intention that's set when you either take these substances as a a sacrament, and a lot of the ceremonial practices are actually very, very rigorous, I would say. Like, so for me, my personal experience was in Peru, right? It was very much with the original trained shamans, and yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't do it in downtown Taipei. That's like one of the last places.
I feel like we have like a few audience members that have done a lot of research and would like to add to this topic, like maybe Lace or Lou or something. Can you like say? I don't mean to call you out, but like, can you say something on your experience, Lace?
So at some point in my life, allegedly, I have some big experience that got me interested in Buddhism and meditation. So I'm here to argue for the case of the humanistic side of these big experiences. These are the experts on the therapeutic and the practical use of psychedelics, but I think that there's something that, like you say that meditation's point is not to increase your productivity, but it's more of like to get you out of your box and experience this unity and expansiveness. So I say that there's something about psychedelics and this big experience that is worth exploring, and even though they lie in the ineffable and the unsaidable, that doesn't mean that we cannot talk about it or we cannot get closer to what it's like. And it's really fun to have friends around and exchange our story, because that's something that is like one of the most ego transcending conversations that we can have. So I'm excited to explore these topics.
I think that's why we're all kind of here today, because we all, came together for the interest in the topic, and to, as a maybe even first in Taiwan, in a place where it's kind of new to see and share our experiences.
I'll share my experience.
Okay, please.
So, I am a native person. So, I previously after college, I was in the U.S.
Can we film you or no? No. Okay. Go ahead.
I was in the U.S. Air Force, and I was doing a lot of things that surrounded me with death all the time, like hundreds of people. So when I got out, I was really fucked up, like in the head. I was like not in a good place, pretty upset. Still did well, like in business and everything, but like I was just like, damn, there's like baggage, there's like ghosts following me. And then I started exploring. I smoked some weed here and there. I was living in California. That was cool, but then I started exploring like mushrooms a little bit. That was okay. Kind of hurt my stomach. It wasn't for me. LSD was a little more fun. Really opened my mind. Helped me really bond with some friends. Have like mind meld, etc. And then I tried DMT. And then when I did DMT, it just like lifted a burden off me. It was like I did it 3 times. The first 2 times, I think I didn't do enough. I was a little afraid of it. So it was kind of like an enhanced LSD. The 3rd time I had that like life-changing experience, I vomited, but it didn't feel bad. It felt like my vomit was just like expelling all the negative out of me. It was just like giving me the opportunity to just free my soul from all the previous baggage and realize that everything is in your mind. Everything you perceive right now, it's all in your mind. Because when you have that DMT experience, my eyes were open. I was vomiting. There was like birds chirping around me. I did not see or hear any of that. I experienced like a whole different universe. And I realized like everything you perceive is actually in your mind. So we could all be in the Matrix right now. Who knows? But, this is what I perceive. This is the reality around me. Let me make the best of that. Let me appreciate what I'm able to perceive. Because I can see that there's whole other worlds that can exist in your perception. It only lasts like a short amount of time if you don't do like the really long ayahuasca version of it. But it really gave me like a life-changing experience, helped me recenter myself, helped me understand what like my life goals that I really want to achieve are. And I think it just like kind of made me a better person overall. So I encourage it.
Yes.
don't mail it here and don't get caught.
No, this is all in the States. Only been here for
Otherwise, she'll have to help you.
Does anyone else have any stories or sharing experiences?
So I think it's not really a story, but I think one of the topics was consciousness, right? And I think all of these substances add perspectives, which, like you said, your reality is what you perceive, right? And I think these things can enhance it when you're ready for it. And like that's just a data point in many data points. So I think these data points create the scientific evidence that drives this movement. So I think if more people come out with stories like that, that really fuels that movement that we're all talking about.
Cool. I kind of want to give Zoe the stage to kind of, I'm really interested in this discourse between you because, I kind of empathize with you as a, social cause activist myself, and I'm sure you have questions for these guys that are more like on the opposite side. But before that, I wanted to say hello to Stuart, who's like an investor in the space. We don't need to show on camera, but maybe he's from a different generation who has become new to the space. I mean, I don't know what to say, but maybe you can you can share your experience about getting into the space and how you got in or something like that to the mic.
You want me to talk about it?
Yeah.
I thought I come here to listen to you guys talk about it. Yeah, sorry. You can. Yeah, my experience is very simple. I have two sons. Okay, Michael's my youngest son, and I have an elder son, and then he was using a lot of weed when he was in high school, right? So I was very against it. But this is almost like, if you really look at this, is almost 15 years ago. So, but I think from our generation is because I was first generation U.S. immigrant to U.S. I've been entrepreneur, so I've been two successful startup, and so I wasn't paid so much attention to my kids when they grow up. So that's something I'm kind of regretted a little bit. That's the penalty you have to pay for your startup.
Love you, Dad.
Yeah, but however, when I throw away everything, Calvin, my eldest son, throw away everything he did. Every time I even expel him out of the house. Okay, but time forward, we as a parent also grow to learn. It's for us to grow up in Taiwan. We feel this is bad. This is bad stuff. Okay, until when Michael got this job interview at Caliva, and then we actually, Michael come home and say, hey, Dad, I have this company, but I dare to say it. You'll never ask me to join. I said, what? Just try me. I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm very open-minded. And then actually they invite us to go have a tour. The Caliva, they grow the weed, they have cannabis. I was very amazed. Okay, and then come out, I told Michael, negotiate a good deal.
There's an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's it. And then after about 6 months, going to he worked there. There's a fundraising. I said, come in. And then so it's very if you really look at for my eldest son, Dad, this for me is heaven earth difference, right? I said yes, because Dad is open-minded. So I'm actually very supported on this right now. That's why I try to understand the cannabis. I think everything we drink at home, when they were young, even before they were 10 years old, I give them drink. They know. I don't want them to get our philosophy. I don't want you to get surprised. I don't want you to get anxious. When you go outside, I want you to try everything. Everything is open-minded.
We still get drunk though.
Yeah, I say if you feel good, bring it home. And he actually brought home some of the weed for us to try. But unfortunately, we didn't try it. But we tried a lot of the candle, a lot of the chocolate, the gummy. Yeah, that really make a difference. So I think this is a great industry. And I think if Taiwan can open, that'll be great.
Yeah.
I think also on medical reasons.
Everything.
Yeah, no, of course.
Including adult use?
Yes.
Adult.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
Adult.
recreational use.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I don't like
well,
this term.
if you're talking my generation, I'm over 60, right? So people would say this is probably only 10% or 5% would speak like me. Maybe not even 10%.
Not even, I guess.
The crazy thing actually is that cannabis's best uses and most the most efficient usage of it is actually with people that are 60 years and older, because when you talk about joint pain, you talk about like trouble sleeping, trouble eating. I mean, cannabis has so many different ways of using it. Like people always think it's like smoking and stuff, but like for us, like at our company, we really try to endorse the whole wellness space. And so for us, it's like we have lotions that are like they call them lion balms. So it's kind of like tiger balm, but they call it lion balm. And then you put it on your joints. And then there's bath bombs. So like a lot of women like it. A lot of also older women like it too, because it's used as like a normal bath bomb, right? Except when you're in the bath, you're like slowly getting way more relaxed. And so I think there's just like so many more usages to it. And I think oftentimes like people that are older don't realize it. And then once they do try it, it completely changes their mind. Actually, like one time, I was walking by my house and like our neighbors are older, and I told them I work at Caliva, and they're like, I've never told anyone this, but like I'm obsessed. And I'm like, how did you get obsessed? I just like tried one thing, and then like I like fell in love. And I was like have you tried anything else? And they're like, yeah, I've tried all these like drugs that like my doctor gives me, but none of it works. And so her husband walked out and actually was like shocked when he heard it, and I thought it was hilarious, because like that's really what cannabis can kind of do sometimes. Is especially now that it's legal, it's sort of opened this new space where people can kind of release themselves from the stigma.
Yeah, actually, I have one mission for all you guys: is go home, introduce cannabis to your parents. Because I think maybe 10% or 15% of your parents will have a sleeping issue. At least, I see almost 50% of my peer has a sleeping issue. And this is much better than Ambien. Yeah. Because it's a habit forming. This is not habit forming.
Cool. So yeah, Zoe, I have the fortune of knowing each of you individually and getting to spend my one-on-one time. But please, you guys have never met before. What do you guys?
Yeah, like a few questions. Like, how do you really convince like? I'm sorry to say so. Older generation.
Yeah.
Like just by showing them like how profitable it is or how harmless it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's a good question. So like I was actually an ad on my dad's story, because there was a key point of like how we got rid of the stigma, really. And actually like even my company was well aware of it. The investor Carol Bartz actually went on with Yahoo Finance to talk about this story. And so basically, this company, when they first approached me, it was because I attended a hackathon and I won the hackathon, and it happened to be a cannabis hackathon. And I was creating an app that helps cater to people's sleep by recommending cannabis for them. And so basically when I won that hackathon, they kept on approaching me and I kept saying no. And he kept saying, the CEO just kept saying, why? Like, why don't you want to join? Like, this is such a great space. And I said, do you not understand that I'm Asian? Like, do you not see that, like, I have to convince my parents? And they're like, oh, we didn't realize that's part of Asian culture. Because I was like, yeah, how do I go home to my parents, like, telling them I work at a cannabis company? And so he was like, okay, how about tell your parents to come? And I was like, are you okay with that? They're like, yeah, we've never done that before, but we'll do it for you. And so they had to come and see it. And I think like once they got a different perspective, originally they got the perspective from my brother of someone who, more so like used it on a regular basis and maybe got reliant on it. And so on the opposing end, when my dad was able to see it, like being used in a sense in a professional level and actually focusing on the wellness space, then my dad was like, oh, so there's actually more than just the recreational side. There's actually a whole medicinal side, and also a space that helps someone like him or like my mom, who my mom, like, you know, she really likes to relax at night. And my dad actually gives foot massages, like, to help her relax. But, like, one of the things is, like, my mom actually does appreciate the candles and the rollers because that stuff helps her relax at night, right? But if it weren't for the fact that she didn't go on the tour, she wouldn't have known about it. And so after that, that's where it really released some of that stigma of being able to see that this operation is not just it's not just for fun. It's not like drug dealers like coming to you giving you a baggie. It's actually like giving a whole Apple Store experience, right? Like
a Mad Men, right?
Yeah, that's what we sell. Like our retail store experience is like very similar to like Apple or like MedMen, and so we do that because we want to like tell you that it's more about education. Actually, it's not so much about like experiencing it or trying it. We just want to first educate you on it, and then once you're open to learning about it, which my parents happen to be more open to learning about it because maybe like there's some money in the space too, but yeah, like after that it really opened their minds from it because then they learned, they were willing to get educated on it.
Is this tour available to everyone?
Not anymore. Yeah, it used to be. Yeah.
Gar, did you have this issue also, like with your parents?
Yes, but they were, I think at a young age, they also threw out all of our weed and later learned that no matter how often they do it, took my mom to Amsterdam and showed her the way.
Oh.
My parents are open to it now. But I think it's hard to argue with science. It's hard to argue with clinical trial data. And that's what a lot of companies are doing is like they're sponsoring these clinical trials to collect that data. You can't. It's hard to argue with it.
So basically, if you really want to convince like your parents, like my mom's still really upset like I'm doing cannabis law. Even now, till now, she's like, why you were doing this, Zoe? But like before a pandemic, we were planning to have like a tour to US, bring those mom generation people, make them feel like how that works. I mean, like wellness, like bring them to hot spring and make them try like gummies or patch. And most of them really have sleeping problems. Like I gave my mom like CBD gummies with melatonin, hopefully like that sort of helping her like with her sleeping problems. That's the only thing I could give her. But if we can bring those people, like I won't say old, but like older generation, like in Taiwan to US or even Europe, I think California has more options if they want. They have a lot of like cannabis tour and stuff, and we can bring them, make them see like how it's not evil. It's not like we don't do it for fun to like party all night. This is a medicine. This is like 中药. So before this COVID thing, that was our plan. So hopefully after this pandemic pass, we could still do that because they're the majority of people here against at least a decriminalized cannabis here.
So Zoe, you're kind of like a celebrity. Like 10 different people have told me about the story about you running into a car where the guy was getting beat up and saying that you're his legal counsel.
Yeah, that's I have a lot of.
Can you share some more of these
stories.
like kind of like, you know, what's a fun story that would be?
Yeah, I was have a lot of negative experience with like police and authority here since I was in law school. Like 8 years ago or 7 years ago, yeah, the Sunflower Movement. That's like my first time to go on the street and against the authority. I was just past the bar exam. I wasn't even officially practiced as a lawyer. So since that, I researched on how to make your safe friend when you encounter with cops, like when they walk to you and trying to check your pocket or trying to ask you to get out the car or anything. So I remember that time was the protest about labor law. So some kids like got surrounded by cops, and I was like, hey, you cannot just like arrest him like this. So I was like, you want to appoint me as your attorney? And the kid said yes. So we all got sort of arrested and thrown on the bus.
How many times have you been arrested?
Not really arrested. I don't have any criminal records. So like 2 or 3 times. I cannot record it. Yeah, probably 2 times.
She said no record.
No record. Yeah, it's like, well, they sort of like kidnap you and basically they just throw you on the bus and drove you to like 大湖公园, like some or Nangang Jalanguan, that kind of places, like in that at like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. like you cannot get any public transportation, go back. But you forget we have Uber. Yeah, that's how cops say it. So that's that. And the other thing is, I don't know if you guys ever heard about Pot Brothers at law. There are like 2 lawyers, criminal lawyers, practice in, I believe it's in California or San Francisco, I kind of forget. Anyway, in California. So they basically just teaching people how to say no to cops. So I made a Mandarin version, like a local version, so helps a lot of people like walk away from cannabis issues or just random issue, because even you're in Uber or taxi and you don't look like local, or you're with some people doesn't look local, and will tend to ask you to get out the car, search your package, search your bag, search your pocket, but it's illegal, like you don't know. So for information, if next time just say no, 我不同意搜索, that's it. Show them your ID, and if you're not like wanted or have any, you're all clean, right? Even you have criminal record, but then they don't have rights. They don't have power to search you or arrest you. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because by where we live, in one of the MRT stations, there was like a group, like 2 cop cars, and they were just stopping cars, like taxis and cars that were on that road. And I was asking the taxi driver that I was with, I was like, can they do that? And like, yeah, they can do that. And I was like, oh, wow, I was really surprised.
That's what you want. Yeah.
No, but like they just stopped you for no reason.
Yeah,
like
stop you for.
Yeah, but like in America, like it's most places in America you can't do that. But
They do that in California all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
That is a checkpoint. But they could only check your ID and check if the driver under influence.
Right.
Yeah, but not the passengers. No.
Yeah.
All you can do is just show them your ID, or if you didn't bring it with you, show them a picture or tell them the number. Like
the police don't get violent here, though, right? Like if you try to show your rights to a policeman in the U.S., it's kind of scary. You will die.
We are not. It was not that bad. It's not that bad, but.
Especially if you're of a certain skin tone, it's very dangerous.
That's true.
Yeah, it's not like these are my rights. It doesn't work like that.
No. Yeah, but here, like I heard, there are a few law students sort of got pointed by gun a few weeks ago. They were just like get back from camping and they got stopped by NTU, and cop says like, okay kids, this car's full of like it smells like weed, so get out. And they were like, no, what do you mean weed? They're just innocent college students. They're like scared. But one of them are like studying law or something, and saying, hey, this is not. We have right not to like show you or get out, show our bag or not get out of the car. So the cops just like pointing a gun at them, saying, get out of the car. And the cop is getting trouble.
So what do you think? I'm sorry, I don't.
Who's your gun?
Yeah.
So what are your projections? Like, what do you think the next? How is this industry going to grow since you're here in Taiwan? And how can in the startup sense are there going to be? Is it going to be possible for startups to enter this industry? How can people like this help with like people who want to do startups in the industry?
Actually, I'm helping a startup in U.S. in California selling CBD to Taiwan, from U.S. to Taiwan. The funny part is you cannot sell CBD here, but you can import it for personal use, for yourself. So our plan we're doing that, as we have a company, I have two friends, they're based in Bay Area. So they have a website selling all kinds of CBD gummies, like Plus and Joy gummies, and Floria, some of Floria products for loops and other stuff.
Yeah, I know those brands.
So people here, like, the website's all in Chinese. So people here just like, oh, they're online and they could go on TFDA's website, Weifubu. They need approval to import those products for personal use. And they just buy it online and they send it here. But if you want to resell it here, you get like fine or get in trouble.
Do you think there's or what sort of is there any grassroots movements here to help support like legalization?
Yes.
Is there ways that people can support?
Yes, we do have that, and we are going to have like a music festival on April 17th outside of LY. So it's
Outside of where?
LA.
DeFi, the Paladin. Sorry,
Yep.
I use the weird terms.
Yeah.
Outside of DeFi, the music festival will start at 1 a.m. and we'll get short parade or something. March, I'll say. Go around the whole DeFi, the Parliament,
Cool.
showing like this legalized weed for medical use and other purpose. So if you guys are interested in, so I will show you the link somewhere.
Awesome.
What's the public support for this? Like, if you were to take a referendum tomorrow, what would it be?
Well, that will be bad.
So it's not publicly.
Not yet. I think we would just start with CBD. Introduce like as like education. Like tell people, weed is not evil. It's good for you. It's not like other hard drugs. And it's like gateway theory is fake. People still believe in gateway theory. They believe like if you use weed today and you like Sunday you start using heroin, stuff like this. This is our education. So right now we just want to introduce people like, okay, legal part of weed, which is CBD. That's fine, and also hemp seed oil hemp seed products.
I'm just so happy to see all these friends coming. It makes me like really, really happy that everyone joined us today. But you guys, you know, you have so much experience and expertise. You're telling me you know how to do everything from like seed to like getting like Jay-Z endorsed products. So maybe you guys can share some insight, and then we'll open it up to questions from the room. Or I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so like to talk about kind of
On the business
you know,
side.
our company, yeah, like the vertical integration. I think like that's a very interesting concept that a lot of companies are trying to do that, but it's not easy to do. Vertical integration, by definition, because sometimes a lot of people don't know what that term means, is that we basically grow, we trim it, we like shake it, like we get all the gas out of the cannabis. We hang it, we package it, we distribute it, we sell it. Yeah, we sell it on both direct to consumer, so through our website, and then through wholesale. And so the reason why we want to own that whole space is because, for example, if you guys know a company called Ease, right? Ease tends to do delivery only, but they don't actually own their own cannabis. And so one of the problems with that is that you kind of become the Uber Eats of cannabis, and you're only making that like little 10-20% that you're charging for those delivery fees, right? Versus for us, we basically control like all the costs, right? We know how much we pay to make the product. We know how much we're selling it. We can control that profit margin. And so for us, that's a very key kind of advantage that we can have. And if we can do it right, And if we can build our brand, then it's super powerful. And we're trying to become like the Coca-Cola of weed, because really right now in what's called the green space, there is no leading Coca-Cola kind of or Pepsi player. And so one of the most interesting things about our space is that you also, because it's federally illegal, we can't use normal marketing channels, right? So we can't use Google Ads, we can't be on TV, even though we want to. And so
You're kind of on TV right now, just saying.
thanks. But yeah, so because of that, we have to leverage someone like Jay-Z, because Jay-Z has a following of about 1 billion impressions a year. And so, you know, he's building a house of brands for us. We already have a house of brands. And so Caliva is just our main brand, but we also have a brand called Deli. We have a brand called just a bunch. I can't even name off the top of my head. Monogram is is Jay-Z's brand. And so, yeah, one of the great things of partnering with someone like Jay-Z is he actually is getting Beyonce's own brand of cannabis. He's getting Rihanna's own brand of cannabis. We also got Carlos Santana. I don't know if you know who that is.
Of course.
But yes, Carlos Santana. And so we just get a lot of these kind of major influencers, you could say, to kind of help us build that brand, because we cannot be like a tech company, or we cannot be like a Coca-Cola using those traditional channels for gaining customers. And so, yeah, that's been a very interesting experience, being able to see that. And it really is because of the fact that we're federally illegal and we're only state legal. There's just so many financial, marketing, red tape that we have. Another prime example is we can't use PayPal or Venmo. We can't use any of those. So we have to use cash, or we have to use these really sketchy electronic payment solutions.
Bitcoin? No.
Yeah, no, and yeah, they want to use Bitcoin, but then at the same time, Bitcoin is also because of tax reasons, it's hard to track. This goes back to they probably don't allow Bitcoin payment either, because it's too risky. Because everything's tracked via one channel, especially via the state. And so, yeah, our products, to be honest, are marked up about 45% just because of taxes. Yeah. So a typical eighth for us is $35 when you look at the retail price, but then when you actually pay for it, it's $50. Yeah.
Well, Gar, you wanna?
And that's just California. There are, I think the market's very fragmented, but it's still slowly consolidating. So what we're getting is what's called MSOs, which are multi-state operators. And in California, you can be very vertically integrated. You can grow the weed, process the weed, and sell the weed to the end consumer. But there are certain states like Washington where you can't do that. So you need to either be a processor or either be a dispensary or a cultivator, which makes it extremely complex for MSOs to stay compliant. So that's kind of where GrowFlow comes in. We're experts in compliance, and our software forces you to remain compliant.
Cool. I just want to thank everyone, and I'm seeing all these faces, so I just want to say, I want to open up questions to everyone here, but no one needs to be on camera. You guys are behind the camera, so shout out. I won't call you by name, but any crazy questions or experiences you want to share. I think we have everything covered, from legal advice, personal legal advice, caution in psychedelic growing in Yami-san, to starting a business, growing your own seed. So please, ask away.
I have a question. So for the tax-wise, right? So which state is more friendly for marijuana in the United States?
Colorado.
Yeah, you could eat it.
Yeah.
I think that's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, Colorado is definitely one of them. Colorado is actually one of the more profitable states for cannabis. Yeah. And you guys are curious about looking up statistics on cannabis. There's a website called headset.io, and they basically aggregate the sales for all the, like, basically the entire United States, and they distribute it by state, and you can kind of see how every state kind of does in the cannabis space, and Colorado is one of the spaces that do well. At the end of the day, though, Headset is only accounting for the legal space. The crazy thing is, the legal space takes up less than 10% of the market to this day. That's why federal legalization is so important, because once it gets federally legalized, then the black market gets opened up, you know? And right now the black market is like, it's so much money. Like, we're talking, for us, like in California, the space is only like 10, 15 billion. The actual space in California is 200, like 300 billion. Yeah.
Well, why is there a black market if it's legal?
That's a good question. So there's
That's cheaper.
Yeah, you know, it's just cheaper.
Yeah, so there's still like
It's
still a big market for quality products. So that black market's always going to exist. There's like, it's kind of like the bourbon market. Like, there's the people that they'll buy the Jack Daniels, but then there will be the people that will pay 10x more for like the Barrel Select, and that market is huge.
What's the status of like the federal legalization right now? Yeah.
Yeah. I can kind of give you a status update. So, yeah, because we're really keen on looking at this, because obviously companies are already public, and you know, we really want to get on the NASDAQ. So Biden administration just, I think, just announced that they, I think, appointed someone for the SEC. That person has always supported cannabis law, and just like been a big supporter of getting the cannabis space American cannabis space into the U.S. Stock Exchange. Because if you really think about it, right, Tilray, you know, Aurora, these guys are making so much money off the U.S. market, right? Why aren't the U.S. companies making any money off of that market, right? It's just like money that it shouldn't be going to a Canadian company. It should be going to a U.S. company, right? So obviously with our Vice President Kamala, she could also, because in California she was a big supporter of cannabis law as well. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of players that are helping us. We think our prediction is within the next 6 months. That's a little optimistic though, and we believe that like we could be one of the first, because once you're already on a stock exchange, it's much easier to convert to a different stock exchange. So yeah, we think at least probably, like, conservatively, you could say by the end of 2021, 2022. Yeah.
So will you guys have like an experience bar, like a marijuana bar in the future? Because I know the license will be different. I heard like Standard Hotel in LA, they're trying to get a license, but I don't know what's going on after that. But that's what I heard.
Yeah, so I guess I can answer that too. So cannabis licenses are the hardest things to get in every state. There's tons of people fighting for it. The little guys, the big guys, everyone fights for licenses, and they're all by region. And so recently we just won the region in LA by the Grove. It's a mall in LA, and we paid big money for it. And so, like you said, yeah, to be able to have those experience bars, you have to have a certain kind of license. The licenses, there's just distribution license, and then there's to be able to use it at the place. And I think in California we're not there yet. I don't think you can actually use it at like a bar. I know that like in Europe there's certain places that are allowing that, and I know the U.S. is talking about it in terms of laws, like regulation.
Anyone else?
Is there like legislation on how you process weed? Like tobacco today is nothing like it was 50 years ago, right? Philip Morris makes it like way more potent, way more addicting, and all those things. Like, I mean, I can foreseeably see if it becomes federally legal, why wouldn't people do that, right? If Philip Morris gets into weed, are they going to make it like super duper addicting and like 10 times cheaper and stuff like that? Is there anything in place against it?
There's it's contingent on state. So like BOMA in Oklahoma will require lab samples from each stage, but the standards of those I don't think include level of addiction.
No.
It's generally just like level of purity
Okay.
and like the THC, CBD breakdown.
Yeah.
Zoe?
Use it on your own terms.
When you guys are trying to get regulation passed, have you got involved in lobbying? Like who do you actually lobby? And then which other industries are like your biggest competitors? Is it big pharma or big tobacco or the alcohol people? I don't know. Like,
Yeah, I mean you're right. I mean it's a lot of these big players that are like Constellation Brands. You probably heard of. They have a big stake in Canopy, right? And that's what makes Canopy such a big company right now. At least worth a lot of money. But this has always been a concern. Actually, like my dad as an investor is very concerned about this, and he says like if you can't establish yourself early, then what's going to happen is just Philip Morris or whoever is just going to buy you out because they just have all this money. Once you're legal, like they're like, I'll just take over your company, So then you can't really build yourself as a company organically anymore. You kind of become a part of this, this other big company that controls what you want to do. And so that is a concern, and that's why like for a lot of these larger vertically integrated guys, multi-state operators, they really focus on building a brand and being so big that like these other big guys will just have to create their own brand to kind of compete with us rather than buy us out.
Yeah, I think in our generation we say the one word: when water is murky, there's opportunity. And when water is clear, there's no opportunity. 浑水摸鱼，水清则无鱼. You guys heard about it because as an entrepreneur, why investing in this? It's very simple. If you really think about, in this room, you can poll how many people have not used cannabis. Just me. Everyone use it. There's a demand, right? I'm a businessman, so I want to be in this business. So that's very simple. You can't stop it. Okay? If you really look at this comparison with alcohol, even when I grew up in Taiwan, you can't make your own alcohol. In Taiwan, it used to call 公卖局, right? You got to know that. If I brew my beer, I'll get caught. I will sent to jail, right? So everything
Can I grow my own plants here? Yeah.
What kind of plant?
Beer.
Beer's fine.
So one thing is very simple. I was telling, if you got how to persuade your parent, very simple. There's a cigarette, there's cannabis. Cigarette, statistics kill people. Cannabis, no statistics kill people. So this is healthy.
Is that what sold you? Is that your argument that you're saying?
No, I don't use it. Because
No, you think you're good to it.
I don't use it. Maybe in the future I'll use it. But not
He
today.
saw the opportunity. He's a businessman.
Yeah. So it seems like the U.S. is kind of like leading, the front for all of this. Like outside of Europe too, U.S.
Canada.
Asia in general though. Like I always think like Taiwan's one of the more forward-thinking countries in Asia. But are there other countries in Asia that are sort of embracing this movement, or is it just really no one?
Actually, I know. I talked to a friend of mine who's an investor, and he's actually working with the government in Thailand right now to do grows. So Thailand. I think Southeast Asia. Vietnam, Thailand, Bali, Indonesia. I mean, they have more of a full moon party culture. So.
Yes. I think I can answer this question as well. Like Thailand just like legalized medical use of THC tincture.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. And like tincture, like THC.
Tinctures are like the little droplets that you put under your tongue. They're like sublingual droplets. People use it for like just like treatment.
That's the Morris, like more version.
Yes. And they have like clinic, THC, like cannabis clinic, like traditional doctors, but not like Western medical system doctor, but they're Thai, that's like Zhongyi here. But their traditional medicine is has marijuana in there. So their government allowed their traditional doctors to give prescription and give like clinic made or state made tinctures, THC tinctures to their patients, and you're allowed to grow like very few plants for medical use. So I think Thailand, like in Asia, Thailand is most progressive on this matter, and also like in Japan, you could openly sell CBD products, like including vape pen, bath bomb, and gummies maybe. Yeah, in that kind of like tanjikodo, the donkey, the like dollar store, that kind of thing.
Oh, really?
Yes, and Korea Republic, the South Korea, they are allowed CBD. They're not allowed CBD products, but they allowed people for academic reasons to grow cannabis, not hemp, not industrial hemp, but like white widow, that kind of thing. They have a professor in agriculture, have an anchor of cannabis plant. Yep. In China is, yes, surprisingly China. They're allowed, I know, right? They're allowed, like Heilongjiang in Yunnan. It's a government-run industry to grow industrial hemp. They're exporting CBD. The quality sucks. Don't buy it. I saw it because I was in MJ BizCon in Vegas on 2019, I believe, at the end of like December 2019. I was there. There are very few like Asian face, but China, they have like huge, like huge vendors. They're government run. Yeah. So they say, oh, we're selling okay quality, fair quality, but very cheap CBD products. You could buy like CBD isolate CBD or other CBD powders from Alibaba.
Wow. That's only export though, right?
Only export. I heard this project.
I heard it's like their reverse opiate strategy.
They do sell it. I don't know if it's legal to do that, but I found a lot of CBD products on Taobao. And it seems like they don't ship it abroad or overseas. So I was quite surprised, but the law there really not really works, or it seems like it doesn't have any binding effect over privileged people. So yeah, this overall like Asian on cannabis, but it seems like THC is most progressive countries is Thailand.
I think I'm gonna like shut down the panel in a few minutes so that I see people getting thirsty and hungry. But maybe if there's any like pressing questions or last remarks from our guests, Yuan, you've been quiet.
Yeah, I think same as with the U.S. Like cannabis is gonna lead the way. So I think the psychedelic stuff's very promising and very interesting, but I think having cannabis be the kind of
the gateway.
The gateway to
But how do you feel for people that want to experience it? I've seen these sort of like microdosing resorts or something like that. What's like a good sort of like entry point? Would you suggest?
I think in the U.S. I think Taiwan. I'll defer to the lawyer. I don't think that's available here, or it's very risky. So I don't think I would recommend that. But yeah, for people that are looking for, it's really hard with COVID right now. But I think there's definitely states in the U.S. There's states like Oregon, California. I think certain cities are decriminalized, and I would also say that working with those medicines is a little different than cannabis because you want to be much more like it's good to have a sitter or a facilitator or a shaman to at least be there because it's a more intense experience generally than cannabis, even though edibles can be.
I was actually curious amongst the audience. Do you guys know where most of these psychedelics were discovered? And cannabis, you could start as the first one. Does anyone know where it was discovered, like historically?
Mexico?
Well, someone said it.
Southern China.
China, yeah, China's where it discovered.
Yeah.
So like people are always surprised to hear that, but like Asia was really first to like try this drug, and they were the first to pretty much deny it.
I'm also curious about like indigenous use of like plant medicines, whether it's mushrooms or whatever, especially like locally in Taiwan. I've noticed that a lot of the Aboriginal music sounds very similar to the Icaros in Peru. So yeah, that's something that just in general is like I have a small group of Asians that are working on psychedelic advocacy and the historical part.
Do you want to plug your group? We can.
Well, I mean, there's actually a website. There's the East Asian Psychonautic Society. That's a group that was already established that I got pulled into through Clubhouse. They're all using pseudonyms, but I'm out of the closet, so to speak, and so is Serena. So we're starting to build a movement. And of course, anyone that's interested can connect with us, and I think it's important. It's an important conversation.
Maybe Zoe, how do we follow up with your activities? What's next for you? And yeah, let's do a closing.
Well, next,
Continuing the fight. Oh, this protest you were saying.
Oh, not really protest. We will call it as a festival or a public education opportunity. We're as on April 17, outside of Li Yuan. Started with 1 p.m. So you guys are welcome to come. There are some vendors you can check on. They're free, and at like 4:20 p.m. we'll go.
4:20 p.m.
Yes. Don't bring anything illegal, please. There's loads of cops. This is the second time we have this event. Last time was 2019. Then it was last year was the
So no free samples.
No free samples.
No free samples, but probably will have free CBDs. It's not really legal to give CBD for free. We're even selling CBD, but some people love to do some risky stuff. So, as long as it's not a crime, I'm just like, okay.
As long as we know you, right?
Call Zoe. I'll be there. I'll be there to make sure everybody's safe.
Cool. You guys want to close out and we'll go grab some drinks.
I mean, you guys are asking about if you guys have samples. If you guys actually are curious, if you guys are ever in California, I can help set up tours if you guys want. I also have a family and friends discount. 25% off.
Follow the podcast for a discount through Michael. Like it.
Yeah.
So you're saying you can't order stuff, but later on you said you could. So
you're
mail for personal use to Taiwan.
only for CBD.
Only for CBD.
And the THC allowance in CBD products is 10 ppm.
Yeah.
Which means that it's 10 milligrams per liter.
Yeah. And actually, if you guys are actually interested in more of the science behind CBD and THC, those two work hand in hand with each other. So if you just have one, it doesn't work well. Honestly. So especially when you're just talking about CBD, if you need a ton of CBD to really feel it. And so that's why at our company, we do believe that if you're trying to use CBD, you use a little bit of THC with it, it actually enhances the effects of CBD because they're the receptors that it's actually interacting with, they enhance each other. So yeah, that's just a quick note on CBD versus THC.
What about the other way? If you just have THC, do you need CBD? I don't really think
A lot
so.
of products have a little bit of CBD.
Yeah, but a lot of the times I've tried it without it, and THC.
Yeah, THC is a big hit. Yes, you're right.
There's also other compounds too, right?
Yeah, there's a ton.
It's the terpenes.
It's the terpene profiles.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Lavender.
It's legal here.
Terpenes.
They're legal. If you want to buy some, you can buy it somewhere.
What can I do with it?
No, they're all therapeutic.
You probably create a lotion.
Yeah, they're very therapeutic.
Gar, any last thoughts, Gar?
I can't beat the Caliva discount. But everyone check out Caliva. You're in California for a discount.
And then let's end it with a disclaimer. None of us here, or none of this discussion is like encouraging the use of illegal substances in Taiwan or globally. And thank you guys all for coming. Thank you, our lovely people.
Thank you, Amber.
Amazing.